Right, guys. So we are back. We are going to be looking at quality improvement in healthcare. Improvement is something that I think we touched on it. We touched on it in pharmacy administration. It's more so important in the public healthcare setting, institutional healthcare management setting, because that's where you have, you know, a lot more potential for complaints, a lot more a need for getting, especially from a government position, getting its healthcare up to international specification, international standards, because these things are what is going to determine continuity of funding for healthcare services and healthcare projects. So quality improvement in healthcare, especially from the public sector setting, is very, very important. So healthcare defined can be defined as healthcare can be defined as a collection of curative, preventative, rehabilitative, and promotive services. Healthcare is a social and economic endeavor encompassing activities by providers, consumers, financiers, and government systems within their respective locations. So healthcare has several definitions, and we know that the definition of health includes also the mental well-being as well. So what's wrong in today's healthcare? We have a host of avoidable errors, and I want to expand on what I said in the last hour, where during this pandemic, us as pharmacists, especially in the institutional setting, can rise to the occasion and hopefully can be given the management will to engage us in more meaningful purpose other than what we currently do in our institutional healthcare facilities. And we can certainly help with avoidable errors, especially avoidable medication errors. Let me just ask right now to some of you And again, please make Dr. Ignacio and Dr. Janki proud if I ask this question. Cardiac patient, Avix. Should I use brand names with you, or I'll use drug names. Just from a therapeutics point of view, is there anything wrong with the with this list of medications here? With a brief history, it's a cardiac patient. They are given clopidogrel, aspirin, rosuvastatin, omeprazole, and enalapril. Can you identify any issues there? I'm interested in seeing if your pills lab and your pharmacy practice lab is going to help identify. You all should be current in your information, more current than I am with respect to therapeutics. Anyone? Clopidogrel and aspirin. Two clopidogrel and aspirin are two anticoagulants, Sabrina. Shanice, you think that's a problem? All right, good. PPI and aspirin, okay, Kai. Anybody else? Clopidogrel and aspirin increases the risk of bleeding. Yes, I am very much aware of that, and I'm glad you are as well. Therefore, so you are in the same line with Shanice's suggestion. So you would tell me what you'd tell the patient, but there's something else. Sabrina, I don't think I agree that those two are anticoagulants. They are antiplatelets. Remember, I said in class just now, antiplatelet and anticoagulants are antifibrinolytic agents are anticoagulants. So anything, any other issues? Karishma and Shanice. So we have two antiplatelet agents, and there's an increased risk of bleeding. How do you, as the pharmacist, as the healthcare practitioner, at look at this for the benefit of the patient? Throw out your ideas and throw out your answers. It's okay. It's okay. This course isn't pharmacy therapeutics. This course isn't pharmacology. This course isn't pharmacy practice. I'm just using this as an example to tie in to what I'm saying here about avoidable errors, underutilization of services, and how quality can fix this. Should be taken at different times. Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. So okay. Anybody else? Anybody else? Kai, you said PPI and aspirin. What's wrong with PPI and aspirin? Is there an issue with PPI and aspirin? Discontinue one. All right, I'm gonna give 1 more minute for anybody else to give any suggestions on this combination, and then I will give you my analysis or my suggestion. It does. It does, Marie. It does. But you're asking me the question that you ought to have picked up, or that you should be the one picking up. Enalapril and aspirin, Shakira? Oh, what's wrong with enalapril and aspirin? You'll have just about 20 more seconds to tell me what issues exist with this prescription. Shakila, what wrong with enalapril and aspirin? 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so here the answers that should have been coming out of your mouth easily. Kai, I'm waiting on you to tell me what it is you have. What is you have with PPI and aspirin? I'm waiting on that, Kai. Um, Enalapril and aspirin. I I I do not think that there's an issue with those, Shakira. So I don't think there's an issue with that. Clopidogrel and aspirin, yes, they are both antiplatelet. In a cardiac clinic, especially from someone who has a fresh heart attack, both drugs are used because both drugs engage in its antiplatelet action via different pathways. And in an emergency situation, the clinicians don't know which one will do the job, so they give them both, right? They give them both to ensure that there is no further development of blood clots. So that's okay to be given. So about this discontinuing one PPI and statins, Shanice, you're asking questions that you probably need to expand on. You and Kai. I want to play Dr. Ignacio here right now and ask you all, you're saying things and you need to back them up. Back it up by how? So it is allowed to be given both together. You don't have to discontinue one. After several months of monitoring the treatment, one can be taken off, but in the initial emergency situation, both can be given safely. Karishma said a risk of bleeding. Yes, they have a risk of bleeding. That's why they've given, you have to now monitor the patient for bleeding gums, black stool, belly pain, feeling weakness, checking the hemoglobin levels regularly, and they've given something in an attempt to help protect the stomach. So that right there, nothing is wrong with rosuvastatin, nothing is wrong with aspirin and clopidogrel being given together, nothing is wrong with enalapril. The issue has to do with omeprazole being given in conjunction with clopidogrel, because studies have shown that omeprazole and clopidogrel given together carries with it an increased risk of a heart attack. That's an easy example of an interaction that, as pharmacists, as health institution pharmacists, you would pick up and you can take action on. I'm not saying that you're going to run down the cardiologist and say, you make a mistake. No, you can't do this, you're crazy. This is information that if perhaps the way in which institutional pharmacy is done, when it reaches to your department, you can now make a correct clinical decision and ensure that the patient is given an appropriate option for protection of their stomach. And that appropriate option would be pantoprazole. Although it's a PPI, pantoprazole has been the only one that did not have the negative drug-drug interaction, as Marie was asking about with clopidogrel. Or you can give one of the H2 receptor antagonists, which is where we can't use ranitidine anymore, right? We'd have to use cimetidine. So you can use cimetidine, although cimetidine may have a risk of more drug interactions. Yes, cimetidine. It's an old drug. There are many interactions with that drug, but if you can work around it and see how best you can adjust, it will be a far better option than using omeprazole and Plavix. So, and clopidogrel. So I hope this is an example of avoidable errors. This is an example of utilizing your knowledge to help with improvement of your patient's healthcare status. You have an overuse of services when you go into your public healthcare system, you see an overuse of persons coming in to do frivolous things. And as pharmacists, again, if you are positioned in the healthcare system as we are seen globally as a primary care practitioner, as a first line person in healthcare, you can now reduce the amount of person that is going into the complex tertiary healthcare services. So you can reduce the overuse of those services by you positioning yourself or being allowed to position yourself for screening for that you are trained for and that you are knowledgeable about. Communication problems, lack of evidence. Again, it speaks to the lack of data collection, dissatisfied clients. All of these things quality can fix. And we move on to the terms such as quality assurance, which is the overall philosophy on quality and its assurance. Um, and quality assurance deals with specifications and ensuring that specifications are met, standards are met. And then total quality management is a new organizational and managerial approach to quality assurance um, in the not-for-profit industry, and it's also used in the profit industry as well. Total quality management. It's looking at quality assurance from an organizational and a managerial perspective. And we also have continuous quality improvement, which is a mechanism for quality assurance in the healthcare sector. So it's continuous. You are continuously looking at improving on your good and your service. And that's all part of total quality management. All right. So we have some guys that were leaders in quality. We have Gavin, and he spoke about performance, and he spoke about reliability, durability, serviceability, aesthetics, features, perceived quality, conformance to standards. All of these things are dimensions of quality that you need to be familiar with. And you would see in different areas, the different industries, you would see quality has certain connotations or certain associations. For example, in the airline industry, quality would be on time, would be comfortable because you're stuck in a plane. It would be low cost. We know the cost of airline travel is relatively high, and anything that to reduce that cost to take you from Trinidad and Tobago to Brazil, or Trinidad and Tobago to Africa, or Trinidad and Tobago to New Zealand would be better. Quality in healthcare looks at correct diagnosis, minimum wait times, lower costs of healthcare, security of healthcare, food services. Good. When you look at food quality, what do you look at? When you look at quality and food, tell me, guys. When you look at when you want to look at quality of food, tell me what do you look. Tell me what do you look for. Karina is saying taste, presentation, appearance, cost. Right. So yes, cost of food is a real thing. Appearance is another thing. Well, appearance. Who said the appearance? Marie, yeah, little Marie and Karina. Yes, I think Tracy. Hey, you're with us this morning, Tracy. If you were in class in the last hour, you would have had a good laugh because rain was falling and there were noises coming out from where I live, and so you would have had a good laugh. I know you would. Um, so yes, appearance, presentation, that's the more bourgeois look or bourgeois perspective of food. You want to make sure it appears good as well. All right, okay. That was in community, though that wasn't institutional. Um, and taste and cost. So those are some basic things for food services. Also, you look at delivery and a good environment. Is it a clean environment? It's food after all. So you look at this slide and you'll see the different areas and industries that look at the different things that they are associated with for quality. So we have some now asking the questions, what is quality? Duran, who is a guru of quality, spoke about the fitness of purpose. We have Philip Crosby, who is another guru on quality, who spoke about conformance to requirements. Mike Robinson said that his meeting stated requirements of customer now and in the future. We have all these different persons who were part of um, the quality drive since in the 80s that gave definitions of what quality is. And um, we have another one here on slide number 9. The degree to which a system or component or process meets specific requirements and customer users or needs expectations. And then we have ISO's definition. ISO is the International Standards Organization. It's an international body that would register and would recognize your products. It's something to aspire to for accreditation of your product, your goods, or your services. It's going to lend international appeal to your product and service. We have a few companies down here that do have ISO certification. Not too familiar with them, but I remember there was a paint one as well. So ISO is International Standards Organization. Definitions of quality, transcendent definition, which is excellent, product-based definition, the quantity of product attributes, user-based definition, fitness for purpose, fitness for use, exceeding user expectation, value-based definitions for quality, quality versus price, and manufacturer-based, which is conformance to specifications. So for quality, you want realistic but demanding standards. You always want to have benchmarks that are good and realistic. Getting things right the first time, it costs far less to prevent a problem than it does to correct the problem. It influences relationships with customers and influences how complaints are dealt with. Now, if it is that you have a quality statement on your organization's wall, it's going to definitely have a positive impact on your customers, your internal and external customers that we spoke about just now. On their perspective on your organization, they're going to see how important you take standards of care and standards of quality. And on slide 12, you see a nice, interesting statement here. The first job we have is to turn out good quality merchandise that customers will keep buying. If we produce it efficiently and economically, we'll earn a profit. Now, that's a real fundamental entrepreneurial, creative mindset to have. First is to create quality products that customers buy and keep on buying. Then we have to produce it efficiently and economically, where we can now turn a profit. So start off with your creative genius to find something that is of high quality. And I would encourage you all to read on read up on Solo Beverages, and you would see Solo Beverages was created upon producing high quality soda or high quality drinks, especially in World War II, I believe it was. And it's a nice story where you look at turning out quality merchandise that customers will keep on buying, produce it efficiently and economically, and you'll get a profit. Because Solo has been around. If you look at a Solo label, the label itself looks very old because it has some old pictures, and I think they deliberately would have kept that to keep their image and to make sure the customers are reminiscent of their times way back when. So read up on Solo Beverages in Trinidad and Tobago. right? So in industrial revolution, on slide 13, the industrial revolution led to the rise of inspection after manufacturing is completed and to ensure that things are done according to spec. Right, so use of statistical methods. World War II, we had more statistical control for quality. And these slides just give us a little historical perspective, all the way down to slide number 16, historical perspective on quality methodology. So we have moved from, and we're on slide 17 now, from statistical quality control, which was known as long ago QC, we have moved that into quality assurance. And quality assurance has now transitioned into quality management, which is now commonly referred to as total quality management. All right? Quality improvement is a formal analysis to the approach of a formal approach to improving on performance and systematic efforts. It's a little different to quality assurance. Quality improvement is a systematic process. You see the comparison there on slide number 19 of quality improvement versus quality assurance. Improvement is how can we improve. Assurance just looks at what went wrong. Quality improvement is proactive, whereas assurance is reactive. Improvement avoids blame and solves problem, whereas assurance is often punitive and fault finding. Improvement fosters system change, and again, assurance looks at who was at fault. Improvement looks at the entire organization as a whole, whereas the assurance focuses on a specific incident. And Deming had 14. Deming is one of the world leaders on quality assurance and quality management. He had 14 principles of, and you can read through these. Breaking barriers between staff areas. I'm just calling out a few of them randomly. Adopt and institute leadership. Leadership again here, the same leadership, we've mentioned it before. This leadership we're speaking about is the same management will, executive will, to get the things done. And sometimes, as we said earlier, that your management team would need to remove barriers that can prevent the continuous improvement and continuous development, especially when looking at the balanced scorecard application. And here we have an interesting one here, eliminating numerical quotas. Now, this hasn't been completely done in today's modern world. We still have organizations, especially sales-driven organizations, that do have numerical quotas because persons' pay and commissions are tied to it. But it's still there. So numerical quotas is one that we know are a bit controversial. Quality does not occur by accident. Quality is something that is deliberate, understanding what the customer wants and how to go about achieving them. And now we get to Deming's cycle, which is commonly called the plan, do, check, act cycle. The Deming cycle is the PDCA cycle. The PDCA cycle is planning, doing, checking, acting upon it, and planning again. Did we accomplish our goals? Is there improvement to be made? What changes can we make in our current process that we can roll out again? So the smaller PDCA cycles can be used until you can broaden the implementation. Plan, do, check, act. Or in this slide here, you see plan, do, study, act is the same. Plan, do, check, act. And then we have an augmentation of this plan, do, check, act cycle called the DMAIC process, which is define, measure, analyze, improve, and control process. And you see how, if you look on slide number 27, you see how it overlaps with and joins with and is an augmentation of the plan, do, check, act cycle. So these are things that you can do from a micro perspective in your department and your organization to help improve with the quality of goods and service that you produce. All right. These things are based on and come from strategic goals and objectives, knowing what it is, the outcomes you want to achieve. All right. And you see the DMAIC process looks at a systems perspective as well. Input, processes, output. Analyze, improve, control. Analyze, improve, control. All right. So I hope you guys understood what we've spoken about here in our quality lecture. It does have some overlap from farm admin, but again, to summarize, quality is important. You would see in all of our regional health authorities and even in the Ministry of Health itself, they have a quality department that looks at ensuring that there's a continuous process. It's a continuous process of improving the quality of output that comes from all of the inputs in our healthcare system, all of the inputs having a human resource be part of the processes, and what your outputs look like in terms of customer satisfaction. All right. So things to take home and things to look at: your plan, do, check, act cycle, and its overlap with the DMAIC process, the define, measure, analyze, improve, control. All right. So that's it for today for quality, and I invite questions and queries before we head off until next week. Are we good, guys? Any issues, any problems? No questions. All right, Tracy. All right. Shakila, Shanice, Marie, Karina, you all are good? All right. Nice. Great. What about Jahil? I didn't see Jahil whole morning. Karishma, everything okay? Sabrina as well. Kai. Everybody okay? So I will see you guys next week. Hope the information was received well. Review it again. The best time to review it is perhaps a few hours from now to give your brain a chance to just let the lecture settle in, and then when you read it over, things are going to come in and make sense. So read up on the solo story, and I hope today's lecture was received as well as it was intended for. So long. See you all next week, and have a good day to everyone. Few hours from now is more classes. Yeah, well, okay, so a few hours from now is more classes, and then after that, this evening, this evening, what classes you will have now? What classes you will have after? Study again after. You know, it's not studying, Tracy. It's reviewing. It's just reviewing. You are reviewing what was taught today. Yes, Sabrina, I know lunch is after. You all said it have some classes after. Pharmacy seminars at 1. Pharmacy seminars then a tutorial. Okay, well, have fun. Have fun with your pharmacy seminars. So which really is it? I've seen one person saying seminar and tutorial, another person saying, okay, it's tutorial. All right, okay, gotcha, gotcha. All right, so have a good lunch and have a good seminar and tutorial this evening. I'll see you all next week. Take care. And I will tell Dr. Janki about um, this therapeutics question I asked. Actually, I wouldn't. But guys, I want to impress upon you that I want you all to be as clinical and as knowledgeable as you can be. I'm using the word clinical because you have to now marry your knowledge, all of this knowledge you're getting with therapeutics and pharmacology into a clinical real setting, which is up to date with the latest studies and the latest warnings about medications, clinical information. All right, so long, take care. It was a nice class today, and I'll see you all next week.